The wind howled across the barren stretch of Texas land, carrying with it the scent of dust, old hay, and something lonelier than silence. Samuel Carter stood by the fence of his ranch, hands roughened by years of hard work gripping the splintered wood, staring out at the horizon that seemed to never end. It had been 3 years since his wife passed, 3 years since he'd heard laughter echo in that house, or felt warmth that wasn't from the sun. Folks in town called him the ghost rancher, a man too stubborn to leave and too broken to move on. He didn't mind. Silence was easier than pity. But that silence cracked the night he found her, a woman stumbling down the dirt road that ran past his north pasture, clutching a torn shawl around her shoulders and limping like every step hurt more than the last. He almost didn't stop. Almost. But then she looked up, and the weak glow of his headlights caught her face, bruised, eyes swollen from tears, and something else he recognized deep inside, hopelessness. Samuel slammed the truck into park and jumped out. "Mom," he called, cautious, as if fear might make her vanish. She flinched at his voice, trembling like a deer caught between running and collapsing. "Please," she whispered, voice hoarse, "I just need somewhere, anywhere, to sit a minute." He could smell blood, faint but sharp, beneath the scent of dust and exhaustion. Without a word, he opened the passenger door and nodded her in. She hesitated, like she'd been taught that kindness was a trap. "Ain't gonna hurt you," he said quietly. "Name's Samuel Carter. You're safe here." Safe. It was a word that made her blink like she didn't understand it anymore. She climbed in slowly, wincing, clutching the shawl tighter around her. The drive back to his ranch was silent except for the hum of the engine and her soft, shaky breathing. Under the dash light, he could see her face, young but worn, maybe 30, with eyes that had seen too much pain for one lifetime. He noticed her wedding ring, cracked, bent, like it had been struck with a hammer. When he pulled up to his farmhouse, she looked at it like she was staring at a foreign world. "It's just for tonight," she murmured before he could speak. "I'll go at first light." He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the door, helped her down, careful not to touch too much, and guided her toward the porch. The wooden boards creaked under her feet, and she stumbled once, catching herself on the railing. Inside, the place smelled of coffee and solitude. "You can sit there," he said, pointing toward the old couch near the fireplace. "I'll get you some water." When he came back, she was sitting perfectly still, hands folded in her lap like a schoolgirl afraid to move. The firelight painted shadows under her bruises, and he felt something twist in his chest. "You got a name?" he asked softly. "Mary," she said after a long pause. "Mary Collins." He nodded. "Well, Mary Collins, you're safe here tonight. I got a spare room you can use." Her eyes darted to the window, then back to him. "If he comes lookin', he won't find you here," Samuel said firmly. "And if he does, he'll wish he hadn't." There was steel in his voice now, the kind that came from a man who'd lost too much to stand by anymore. Mary looked down at her hands, twisting the broken ring around her finger. "He said I was cursed," she whispered, voice cracking. "Said God was punishing him, 'cause I gave him 3 girls instead of a son." Samuel froze mid-step. There was something about the way she said it, quiet, matter of fact, that hit him harder than he expected. "He hurt you for that?" he asked, his jaw tightening. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Silence said enough. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees, studying the way the firelight trembled in her eyes. "You got family?" he asked. She shook her head. "He made sure I didn't." "Kids?" That's when her breath hitched, and she clutched the shawl tighter. "3 little girls," she said finally. "He left, with his sister before tonight." Her voice broke then, the dam giving way, tears streaking down her face. Samuel looked away, the muscles in his jaw working hard to hold back his anger. He'd seen pain before, men crushed by debt, by drought, by loss, but this was different. This was cruelty disguised as love, and it made his stomach turn. Mary, he said quietly, you're not going back there. She looked up, startled, as if she hadn't even thought that far ahead. I can't stay here, she said quickly, panic rising. He'll find me. He always does. You don't know him. Samuel leaned forward, his shadow long and dark across the floor. I know enough, he said. And I know what kind of man beats a woman for given life. That ain't a man, Mary. That's a coward. Her lips trembled, and for a second, she looked like she wanted to believe him, like the words were a language she hadn't spoken in years. But then she shook her head, whispering, you should have just kept driving. Samuel stood, walked to the window, and stared out into the darkness. Maybe, he said, but I didn't, and now you're here, so I reckon you'll stay until you're ready to leave on your own terms, not his. She didn't answer, but he could feel her watching him, trying to figure out why a man like him would care. Truth was, he didn't know either. Maybe it was because he'd been alone too long. Maybe it was because he remembered what it was like to lose everything you love. Or maybe it was because, in her brokenness, he saw something that looked a lot like his own reflection. The clock on the mantel ticked slow and heavy, marking the silence that filled the room. Outside, the wind picked up again, rattling the old shutters like restless ghosts. Samuel turned back toward her, voice steady but quiet. You're comin' with me in the mornin', he said. We'll get your girls. Dawn broke across the Texas plains like a slow breath after too long underwater, painting the world gold and gray. Samuel's old pickup rattled down the back roads toward the edge of town, where the land thinned out and fences gave way to dust. Mary sat beside him, silent, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles turned white. She hadn't slept, her eyes were hollow, but there was something new in them too, something fierce. You sure about this? Samuel asked quietly, eyes fixed on the horizon. She nodded. They're my girls, she said, her voice trembling but firm. I left them once. I won't do it again. He glanced at her. She looked small against the seat, worn and fragile, but he could see the storm beneath the surface. He'd seen that look before in wild horses when they realized the gate was open. She wasn't running this time. She was taking back what was stolen. The house came into view, white siding, neat yard, too clean for the dirt it hid. Her husband's sister's place. Samuel parked a good distance away and killed the engine. I'll be right here, he said. But if anything feels wrong, I know, she